But when
Okay.
there are issues, and then you know that you need to get the software engineers, you need to get the testing engineers, you need to
Mhm.
roll back, you need to do all sorts, then you need support. And then if you do it on a Friday, everybody has gone home. Or even those that have not gone home, they're already in party mode, their brain is not functioning.
If you deploy on
Mm,
any day, Friday included, and you roll out a new version of an application,
mm-hmm,
and there's a problem,
mm-hmm.
and there is no way to fix it except reaching out to several like external teams, software engineering teams. There's no way to fix a rollout of a new version. Then something is wrong with your deployment process.
Welcome everybody. Thank you for the love on our past recording. Um, I think I got more views than I expected. It's less than 100, but somewhere in my head, I don't know. I just felt like it was going to be way less than that. But thank you for watching our previous episode. Thank you for coming on this ride with us. And if you're watching this again, thank you. Hmm? So this is
Mhm.
the Cloud Chatter podcast, and we're here to bring you exciting gists, DevOps gists. You know, thank you. Though, sure you thank them on our behalf.
Thank you very much for watching the last episode, and thank you very much for also watching this. We hope we are able to meet expectation in this episode. I mean,
Yeah.
this episode is fantastic. We're talking about Friday deployments, whether we should, whether we shouldn't. I
Hmm.
mean, and I'm sure when you finish this episode, you're going to learn a thing or two, and also have some take homes from the discussion we have. Yeah, this is a very chilled episode, just basically discussing whether we should or should not deploy on Fridays. Is a myth in the DevOps kingdom that Friday is a Sabbath day and we should keep it holy. But I
Ah,
mean,
very old you.
I think today we're going to discuss if we should deploy on Friday. If we are going to deploy, what should we look out for? If we are not deploying, why we shouldn't deploy? Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
You see this thing that it always said that is a myth. They know they tell person. Nobody will say it. It's until you experience it yourself. That's when you will know. But anyways, if you guys remember from the last episode, we said that we're going to be starting with a series called DevOps Wahala.
Mhm.
This is like the first one. We had a bit of a debate. Okay, what should we talk about first? Just to see, Anyways, like it always said, we're starting with the first deployment. Should we do it? Should we not do it? Should we not even deploy at all and let the world just go to shambles? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And then towards the end of this episode, we'll tell you what we'll be talking about on the next episode and what you can expect. But before we go ahead, just make sure that you like, you subscribe, you follow us, you listen on all of your favorite podcast episodes, please. Just support this small ministry.
And
And then,
remember, this is brought to you by Localhost. So
yes, brought to you by Local. Very important. So while we are here, if you people did not subscribe, they can sack us and say you people, so, so we really hope you enjoy it. Anyways, question for you.
yep.
Do we deploy on Fridays or not?
Well, that's a very difficult one. Like I said, it's a meet in the devil's kingdom. Left to me, in my own experience and the company that works for, I think you can't deploy on Fridays. I mean, Friday is just any other day. The way you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you should be able to deploy on Friday without thinking about it twice. That would be my opening statement.
Hmm. If you ask me to say, oh yeah, ask me now.
Praise, do you think we should deploy on Friday?
No, a
Why?
very no. Because see, in DevOps world, Friday is not any other day like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Or I beg,
Is
it's
it
not.
because it's close to the weekend?
Ah, see, you know that people will say that weekend will go sweet now from Thursday you go don't know.
Okay.
So you don't want to start deploying on Friday. My
But
dear.
how is Friday different from any other
It's
day?
very different. It's
I,
very
I I mean,
different.
technologically, how is Friday different from any other day?
See, until you do like Shebi, see, I said it before that until you do it, That's when you will know. They
But
know to tell person,
anything that can happen on Friday can happen on Thursday.
no problem. But it shall not happen on Friday. And it
So
will not spoil my weekend.
okay. I think I get where you're coming from. You don't want to have an issue and you don't go early for the weekend. Is that the fear?
No, it's not only the issue. See, it's always as if the same deployment that you've probably done several times, that you've
Yeah,
done one day, you worked, you did it Tuesday, you worked. You now
yeah.
say, let me just quickly do this one last thing. You now quickly do it. Hey, the DevOps gods, they will now say, hey, we will sit down on top of this matter today. Something that has been working since all of a sudden, it will just not work. You now say, me, I should risk it. Please, I've learned my lesson, I beg.
Okay, I think I get your idea. It's also like doing demo, like doing live demo. Something that's been working would not.
Exactly. The
I
moment
get.
you share your screen like this and say, everybody, I'm going to share. The moment you click share like this, as if you
Mhm.
press spoil, everything will just spoil. That's when you now say, "Hey, you want to start deploying on Friday." Mhm.
Okay. Now let's go a bit more technical. Let's go a bit like technical. Um, from a technical standpoint,
Mhm.
um, I like I said earlier, I think people should be able to deploy any day. And the
Mhm.
reason I say so is because technically, if you have your pipeline, if you have your CI/CD process, you have
Mhm.
your testing, you have your integration, you have your deployment,
Mhm.
everything is automated. I believe, provided you have an automated system, given that you use the same pipeline, you use the same automated process from Monday to Thursday, you
Mhm.
are 99.9% sure on Friday this automated system will still work. So what makes you think that an automated system that is working every day of the week would suddenly fail without any human intervention? Will suddenly fail on a Friday?
Hmm. So, as much as now that we're going technical,
Mhm.
as much as I say that don't deploy on Friday. Bad as it bad, somewhere at the back of
Mhm.
my mind, I still feel like you can still deploy on Fridays. You get,
Okay. Okay.
but
Well, we're coming towards my side now. Thank you.
bad as it bad, you
Mhm.
can still, if you have all the right measures in place, you can. But it's just something very risky to do because with every deployment or with every so deployment in this case could be anything. It could be application, you're rolling out a new version of an application. It could be your infrastructure changes. It could be anything really. And when it comes to production, you have to be as careful as you can because these are live users. This is not testing, and
Mhm.
anything can go wrong, as it were.
Mhm.
So it feels like I've forgotten my thoughts.
I,
It feels
I I have a question from what you're saying, so I just ask the question if you
No,
forget.
wait. I remember. I remember.
Okay.
I'm not slow. So it feels like if you have all the right measures in place, you can still deploy on Fridays. There's no one rule that says you cannot.
Mhm.
And like I was explaining before, that these deployments are different. So if it's a minor change that you know that, oh, this is not really going to affect so much, you can do it. But if it's a major change, like, oh, the team has been working all week, they've tested on dev environment, on integration, they've done all the tests, and they say, oh, all the software changes or application changes that the software engineers have worked on all week, you now feel like the perfect time to deploy it is on a Friday, then that's a big problem. Because even though you've tested on int, there might be some inconsistencies in the environment that could make what is working fine on maybe a development environment to fail on production, which is what we were talking about last week. They say it works on my machine, but then you're not in prod and then it's not working anymore. It's just small inconsistencies.
Mhm. Yeah.
Small inconsistencies can make you look like you don't know what you're doing. So I
Mhm.
feel like it's still always good to not deploy on Fridays. That's my stance. Like, do it maybe, or even if you must, do it earlier so that even if there are changes or there are, anything that needs to be adjusted, they can still be adjusted, not when everybody has already logged off. And then if you're doing a deployment, for example, beyond you, that is the DevOps engineer that is doing the updates, you still require support from everybody else, right? Sometimes.
Mhm.
So you might not know you require that support until there are issues. If there are no issues, you do your deployment, you probably just do it and it's working and it's fine and everybody's okay. But when
Okay.
there are issues, and then you know that you need to get the software engineers, you need to get the testing engineers, you need
Mhm.
to roll back, you need to do all sorts, then you need support. And then if you do it on a Friday, everybody has gone home, or even those that have not gone home, they're already in party mode, their brain is not functioning, you
Okay.
know.
Okay.
So that's sort of my stance. Yeah, what's the question again?
I agree with you. I
Mm,
think that if you deploy on Friday and something goes wrong, you need a
mm,
lot of people and they are probably not available at that time.
true.
However, this might sound somehow, but if you deploy on
Mm,
any day, Friday included, and you roll out a new version of an application
mm-hmm,
and there's a problem
mm-hmm.
and there is no way to fix it except reaching out to several like external teams, software engineering team. There's no way to fix a rollout of a new version, then something is wrong with your deployment process. So I think because personally I think rollbacks should be as seamless as possible. I should easily be able to roll back a production deployment from the new version to the last stable version
Eh,
easily without depending on any external person.
no problem. No, no, no problem. In fact, I think now, as I'm thinking about it now, I don't know why
Mhm.
I'm just vexing
Version are fresh.
about it. And it should not even be that Friday deployment. In fact, it should be close of business deployment. Be it Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Don't even like see if you want to deploy anything, just 8 a.m. when you come and everybody is still in work mode. Deploy
Okay.
what you want to deploy, and then
Okay.
afterward, whatever you see, you take it. But because maybe this is coming from the kind of organizations that I've worked with previously, and though I understand when you're saying that there are a lot of processes, but me and you we know because we worked at so many companies
Why
together.
are you putting me in this?
Me and you we know that this is not always the case. I
Yeah.
mean, that's one of the things that as a DevOps engineer, even if you go into an organization and you see how their processes are, you are
Mhm.
there as a change. You should be able to effect changes while you're there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
say that this is how things are done currently and this is how we should do things. So you should be able to come and say, you guys, these pipelines need to be updated. This is what we need to do. We need to set up this, things like that. So, but before you even do that, let's say you just join the company and you want to use their old system. Before you
Okay.
even do that, sometimes it's just best to just I don't want to say something that will be taken out of context, but see, it's not always that easy. I mean, people are learning a lot more now, and then they
Mhm.
are knowing how to, optimize systems,
Mhm.
improve workflows and all of that.
Yeah.
So yes, eventually, when everybody gets to that point where you have standard systems that can what's the word now? When it's not Nigerian standard, we're not talking Nigerian standard. I'm saying worldwide. Like
Oh,
if you take it to a company in the US, your work is still valid, that sort of thing. Until when people have that sort of standards, then you can now say, oh, you can roll out your deployment at any time, and then if it doesn't work, just like a feature flag, you turn it off, bam bam, that sort of thing. So
okay.
yes.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. Do you have faith? Do you have confidence in so you join a company, they
Mm,
are doing CICD in a certain way, and then over after 8 months of working in the company, you
mhm,
make some changes to their CICD of operation, you have a CICD that is working, like
mhm,
working every day, 24/7, 7 days a week.
mhm,
Now, you were the one that implemented this CICD process.
mhm,
It's working.
mhm,
Now you are saying, oh, you are telling software engineers, oh, this year I'm confident, I'm 100% confident in this CICD process.
mhm,
However, after 12 p.m., don't deploy.
mhm.
Don't you think that sends a I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure about my own vibe to the software engineers or to some certain people because you're not time boxing them. That
Mhm.
after 12, if you deploy on your own, anything that happen, or you're saying oh, you can deploy Monday to Thursday, but once it's Friday morning, I'm not there anymore. So, okay, this is my theory.
Mm,
The system works. See,
mhm,
if the system is going to fail, it's going to fail, whether you deploy
mm.
on Monday or on Friday.
Okay.
Also, given that you said, oh, on Friday you might need some certain people and they are out for the weekend or they've traveled
Mhm,
or they're offline. Yes,
mhm,
understood. However, I don't think that's enough basis to make it a rule or a a, a fundamental principle that don't deploy on Fridays. I mean, it's giving. I'm not sure about what I've done. If on Friday, once the clock reach Friday, it's used to shake. It, that's what it's giving. So, so first of all, I think once you have best practices in place and you have been able to enable safe deployment in your CI/CD process, in your CI/CD pipeline, you should be able to at least be able to minimize failures when it comes to deployment. So, and when you're minimizing failures, that also includes Friday. Friday is just a day. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. Anything that can go wrong on Friday can go wrong on Thursday, right? And you still need people and they are not available. So then and also before you
mm,
roll out a new version of our own application, you should make sure that you are confident in terms
mm.
of properly testing your application, integration testing, unit testing, sending it to QA has tested. If all these things have been done, then
Wait, all the companies you worked with, how many of them have QA?
my current company has QA.
So the previous companies, uncle.
I wouldn't say yes or no, but my current company has a QA team. Yeah,
See,
for
it's
every new
always
version,
giving.
you
Wait,
will
wait.
send it to
It's
QA.
giving. If it's not broken, don't fix it. That's what it's giving. You. If it is not broken, just leave it.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. Now you are talking about you are talking about you are saying this conversation on the premise of if things are not as the way they should be.
mm-mm, no,
Because you
don't.
just asked me how many companies have I worked for that has QA. Because
No.
ideally you are supposed to have QA.
Okay, so I think I'm looking at it from two aspects. The first
Okay.
aspect is, the second aspect is if you're working in a standard organization. Standard
Okay.
could be anywhere now. Doesn't necessarily have to be outside Nigeria. There are a lot of standard organizations where it's a standard organization. They follow standard processes and all of this, and they have all these things that you're talking about. Then, okay, should we still do deployments? That's one arm. Then
Mhm.
on the other hand, there are companies that it's the software engineers that are deploying. There are no processes. Maybe after the company has been running for like 1 year or 2 years or a couple of years, doesn't now feel like, oh, we need to hire a DevOps engineer. You
Yeah.
get, and then they now hire a DevOps person. And then it's at that point that there's a lot of mess for this DevOps engineer to fix already. So I feel like I'm looking at it from both aspects. Of course,
Okay.
if it's I think I even read somewhere once that AWS, the company itself, they do some status updates on Fridays or so. I'm not sure, this might be wrong now, but I think I read it a long time ago that they do a lot of status updates on Fridays. You
Okay.
know, so of course, big organizations that have all these standard processes, you can deploy anytime. You can deploy in the midnight
Mhm.
because even if anything goes wrong, you have taken away all of the human aspects of deployment, which is what
Yeah.
you're talking about, where you're not relying on people. So
Mhm.
even if you deploy and something goes wrong, and you need people in that sense, you can always roll back or still divert your traffic to maybe a different path or something so
Mhm.
that business does not stop because of this failure. So you've taken out the aspect of human interaction. So if that's the case, then yes, please, in fact, wake up one morning and just press spoil. You are fine.
Okay.
But on the other hand, we should also consider companies that are not up there. Not like they're not up there, maybe they just don't know better, right? And they still do a lot of things manually. Then how then should they still do these things? And then I think that a good way to wrap up this conversation eventually when we're wrapping up would be like to suggest things that, of course, that that could make the processes better for those that are not following standards, while for those that are already, that they already have a lot of standards, then what can they do better, that sort of thing. So
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
so
So
I understand where I'm coming from.
I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I believe DevOps as an ecosystem is fundamentally a cultural thing rather than engineering. So if it is cultural, it means that when you join a company, you want to, as much as possible, make things better. You want, first of all, understand why things are the way they are, and then build on that. I mean, talk to people, read documentations, build on that, then make it better. Now,
Mhm.
if we agree that DevOps is cultural, like you have to basically and hold some stakeholders to make processes better. So if you believe the company will benefit more by using Kubernetes,
Mhm.
you want to take baby steps, introduce Kubernetes, and then take it off from there.
Mhm.
This also applies to deployment on Fridays,
Mhm.
right? You cannot just wake up one morning and say, "Oh, from now on we can deploy anytime." It's not possible. You have to have like a mental shift
Mhm.
yourself as a DevOps engineer and the team at large. So team at large, your co-DevOps engineers, the engineering team, product team, every team that will be affected whatever you're doing. You want to have a mental shift to
Mhm.
you want to have this shift to a deploy anytime mental state. And you have to take the action steps required to be in that space, to be at that
Mhm.
level of deploy anytime.
Mhm.
And there are a lot of things that you have to there are a lot of things you have to check off your checklist if you have to be in a relaxed state of I'm confident.
Mhm.
Engineers can deploy anytime.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm trying to say. Because you have to get to that state before you can say, okay, I can go and sleep. Just click on this button, you will deploy. If it doesn't work, click on this button, you roll back, and and,
Mhm.
and nobody is involved, right?
Mhm.
So it's not a I joined a company today. In the next 2 weeks, we can deploy anytime. No, it will take time, and it will be beneficial because like I said before, you have to pass it as a DevOps guy, you have to pass a message of confidence to your team, right? If it's
True.
something you have to write code and it is not confident enough that you will deploy the code effectively, then there's an issue between the two things.
What are we doing
What are we
here?
doing? What's going on? Right? You want to communicate confidence, right?
Mhm.
Also, you also want to communicate you don't know it all. You also want to communicate we are not 100%.
Mhm.
However, you can trust us to get this done.
Mhm.
That's what DevOps is all about, right? You are telling people your application, you have pushed application to GitHub, you have pushed application to GitLab, hand it over to us, and we'll make sure this application, this feature is available to you online. That's basically DevOps for you, right?
True.
And we are guaranteeing you that if there's an issue,
We
we'll
can.
tell you, we'll notify you that there's an issue, and when you fix it, when you make a patch, we'll deploy this patch and assure you that it will work there. If it doesn't still work, we will let you know. You get so if in communicating confidence, I'm now telling you I'm confident though, but
Yeah, deploying at your own
what's
risk.
no, then what's going on? You get so for me, it has to be a mental shift. It has to be a gradual process.
Mhm.
Just the way over time we have shifted from deploying to VMs to deploying to using cloud native tools to Kubernetes is the new rave now. It will take time. It will take time to get to where we want to get to. And
Okay.
however, when we get there, we should be able to deploy any time of the day, right? If somebody somewhere in India, in across the world is working overtime on a Sunday, that
Mhm.
person should be able to deploy.
Mhm.
That's my take.
True.
Yeah.
So yes, yes, yes.
Hmm.
So okay. Okay, so I think that one thing I want to share or what I want us to talk about now is okay, even if we have to do this deployment, so now beyond, oh, we're deploying on Friday, we're deploying on Thursday, we're deploying on any day of the week,
Yeah.
beyond what day of the calendar we're deploying, um, what are the best practices? And I think I would start by saying that even if you're going to deploy on Friday, make sure that you have very standard alerting. It is very important.
Yeah.
Be it 8 a.m., 12 noon, whenever, make sure you have standard alerting because it is very, very important. You don't want that you deploy, even if you deploy maybe 8 a.m. in the morning, you don't want to know that prod is down when it's your CEO that is calling you
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or when is the team. As a DevOps engineer, the software engineers or even the clients should not be the first person to know if something is wrong with the application. Make sure
Mm-hmm.
you have standard alerting. This is even beyond Friday deployments. Now, this is general rule of law. Have
Yeah.
standard alerting. I would maybe give 3 points and then you can give some more points.
Yeah.
So that would be the first thing. Make sure you have standard alerting, right? The second one will be use feature flags. So feature flags is something that is very fairly recent. Maybe some OGs might know it, but it's fairly recent. So there are companies like Launch Darkly, like Flagsmith, and I think there are a couple of others, right,
Mm-hmm.
that you can check out. So when you use feature flags, it's such that if you maybe it makes your rollbacks easier, essentially. So
Mm-hmm.
with feature flags, you can say that it's like if you know routing in, okay, let me not talk about route 53 or something, but generally it's like routing. You say that, okay, these customers or these clients on feature flag A, on a flag A, is would get this traffic, while those on flag B would not get this traffic. So that way, even though you're deploying to production, you can choose who should get what. So that
Yeah.
way, even if something is wrong, you can easily just turn it off and revert them to the old traffic. Do you get that sort of
Yeah.
thing? So feature flags, if you've not implemented it before, great. We all learn new things, read about it, and then maybe it's something that can benefit your organization. So that's something that, because even with the great systems, you might still need to be able to roll back. So that's one thing, alerting, feature flags. And then another thing that I want to talk about is test your see. I know that you have a one-click rollback plan, or you think you have a rollback plan. I've made this mistake before too. Right?
Wow.
Yes. I would
Devil's
not.
Wahala.
I would not give more details. Just know that I've been in these shoes before, and it's such that you think you have a rollback plan, but when you now get to the problem and then you now want to actually roll back, then you realize that this thing is not working, or it's not working as you expect it to work. That's a big problem. So you can have something, you can think you have something and not have it. So make sure that even if you have these systems in place, this is beyond rolling back now, or any other systems you have, make sure that you consistently test it. Because it worked 1 week ago, it might have broken now. Somebody might have touched something and it might have broken. And if you're just working with that knowledge that, no, we have rollback, we used it 1 year ago, should be fine. And then when you now need it, you see that it's not working anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to test your systems,
Okay.
basically. So those are 3 points. I still have some more, but
Okay.
what do you
So
want to say?
I mean, if we are talking about what we should do to be able to deploy anytime, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think the first thing is, I mean, this might be basic, but you'll be surprised how many people don't have it. The first thing
True.
is you have to have a CI/CD pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
Some people still deploy with send me your code, I will SSH. No, you have to have a CI/CD pipeline, and your
Mm-hmm.
CI/CD pipeline should have the basic or the basic stages of deployment. You have your build, you have your testing, you have whatever in between, maybe scanning image or whatever you want to do, and then before you get to deployment, have a basic CI/CD pipeline. That's the first thing, because without a CI/CD pipeline, then whatever we're talking about, you can't just deploy anytime. It means you have to wake up the person that is deploying if you want to deploy on Friday or whatever. That's the first thing. Second, please, you've mentioned this, but I think I should also talk about this. You have to build confidence through a robust testing practice. You
Mm-hmm.
have to test your application properly. within your pipeline, your unit testing, your integration testing. If you are lucky as a company to have a QA team, make sure the QA team also test whatever feature that is being added, and
Mm-hmm.
also part of testing is having multiple environments, right? You
True.
have to have staging environment. You cannot just move everything and be
If you
going to
can afford it.
if you can afford it, if you can afford it, have a separate staging environment, test properly on that staging environment before going to production. Then my third bit will be have an efficient rollback strategy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Depending on where you are deploying, most cases you deploy on Kubernetes, have a proper rollback strategy. There are flags, if you are deploying with Elm, there are flags you can use in such a way that the deployment stage
Mm-hmm.
does not pass if the pod is not in a ready state, right?
Mm-hmm.
Implement these Elm flags, have proper rollback strategy. If you can, have an automatic rollback strategy, right? I've implemented CI/CD pipeline in such a way that if the error rate is over a certain percentage or whatever metrics you want to measure, there's an automatic rollback. You can
Mm-hmm.
also do that. So those are 3 points. I will take it back to praise.
So another thing that I was hoping you were going to mention that you didn't mention is using blue green or canary deployment.
Okay.
That's another simple efficient effi- efficient way to still get the job done. So
Okay.
canary deployment is very similar to what I explained before, like with the use of feature flags, where you can say that you want traffic to go to maybe 5% or 10% of your users, and then if
Mhm.
it doesn't go well, you can always revert back. But another side to that coin is blue green deployment, where you have so blue and green, like a replica of your production environment. So you push this new deployment into this replica in quote,
Mhm.
and then you push you send your traffic there. And then if for whatever reason something is going on, you don't know, you can just divert traffic back to the working version. But
Yeah.
if you keep both versions and you see that, oh, everything is fine, then you can effectively switch traffic to your blue people with your blue environment in quotes. So they call it the blue green deployment. So that's also something. And then one last thing that I also wanted to talk about was which I've seen in more recent times, is to have a post deployment checklist. So before now, I noticed, or something that I've also experienced, where when you do deployment, even as a DevOps person, you just say, "Oh, deployment is done," and then you leave it to the software engineers to test and let you know if everything is working fine. That could have worked if this was 2010.
Yeah.
But now, in this age and time, you need to have a post deployment checklist, even for yourself as a DevOps engineer.
Mhm.
Team I currently work with, they have a very fantastic one, and it's something somewhere. So it's something very simple, but then you now begin to wonder, how did we never think of this, or how did I never really use this, in practical, not just in theory now, like, it's good to have it. But it's good that even as a DevOps engineer, you have like depending on what you're deploying, of course, you have a small checklist that, okay, once this deployment is done, I can check, or can a user log in, or can I access the DNS? Yes. Or is there traffic? Like who said, what is the CPU utilization? Check. Or what is the memory utilization? Check. When you go through all those checklists
Mhm.
yourself, you can know for a fact that okay, yes, everything is fine. And even this checklist does not have to be manual. It doesn't have to be you going there to say, oh, what is the CPU utilization? What is no. You can also automate it, but that's even taking it one step further,
Yeah.
right? If it's a major deployment, let's say a very major, no, I'm not talking about, the engineers want to just push a small change to production. No, let's say it's a major one, depending on how you do deployment in your organization. Let's say it's a major update. Maybe you do major updates twice in a month, and then you can do like small updates or something, or you bulk your updates. I know there are some organizations that do that, where
Yeah.
you bulk up your updates and do it once or twice in a month. Now, if that's the case, then this checklist will be good for if you need to do manual checks. Like, okay, this is such a big change that we need to verify that, okay, traffic, this is the utilization, this is what is going on, and then you can check. But if it's just for like small updates, maybe you just deploy on the fly, then it might not be really necessary. But yeah, that's one thing.
Okay. The last thing I would say is remember that the ability to deploy anytime
Mm-hmm,
it is a cultural shift. All right.
mm-hmm,
It takes time to get
mm-hmm,
there. it's it's cultural in the sense that it involves a lot of people. It's not just the DevOps team. It involves collaboration from the engineering team, collaboration from other teams to be able to come together and
mm-hmm,
achieve the ability to deploy anytime, right?
mm-hmm,
Telling your as a DevOps engineer, telling your engineering team to avoid some certain hours of the day, some certain days to deploy does not really communicate confidence. So it means that you have to involve them in the process
mm-hmm,
of getting to that level where you can deploy at any time, any day, any hour of the day. I mean, it makes sense to deploy during working hours, but yeah, you want to get there, and everything we've mentioned would actually take you a step closer to achieving that cultural shift as a company and also as a DevOps team. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
I think with this we can round up.
All me I will shall say is that
Oh boy.
if you whether you're a Christian, me I'm a
Nice.
Christian, whether you're a Christian or you're a Muslim, just make sure that you and God you're like this. If
Where
you
you
want,
deploy on Friday.
if you multiply,
That's your submission.
just make sure that you and God you're paddy like this, because whatever can go wrong, eh? And if you follow those advice and you go and deploy 10 p.m. because you have CICD and you have all these things, just be ready to explain to your family members if you live with your family while you are still debugging something at 10 p.m. Instead of you to be enjoying suya on a Friday night, getting ready for one bell on Saturday. That one is up to you.
My own take is I believe in you. I'm confident in your technical abilities. Go forth and deploy on Fridays.
Okay. Anyways, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today.
If you watch till this point, you're a real G. You're a G. Or if you listen to this point, you're a real G. And let us know what you think. Like we said before, we'll keep saying again that this is just chilled for us. It's banter. It's light. If you have suggestions, please. We are not very proud people. Tell us, message us, DM, Localhost, anything we day you get. Let us know. If you feel like you also want to come on, yeah, that's absolutely fine. You can come, we'll banter, we'll gist. It's all virtual, so you're very welcome. Just let us know. You can send an email to localhost. I think the email address will be somewhere on the screen. I don't know it often, but you can send an email. You could message us on Twitter. I think it's at join_localhost as well.
On LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, anywhere they find person, you can find us there. So just let us know what you think. Let us know what you think would be better. If you want to come on, just let us know. And if there are any more things that you would like to share, also let us know. And please let us know in the comments too what you guys think. Would you deploy on Friday? Would you be team praise or team
Remember, I have confidence in you.
Would you be team praise or team see? Don't let me down, though, you guys. So just let us know what you think. If you would deploy on Fridays or if you would not, just let us know. And we really love you. I want to do that love sign, but
Thank you very much, guys.
you shall get the gist. Sorry.
Thank you for joining us today.
One
Thank
love.
you very much for joining us on this episode on whether we should or shouldn't deploy on Fridays. We'll see you guys in the next episode. We'll not tell you what we'll be discussing, but join us on the next episode.
Yeah.
Bye. Whatever platform you're
We will
watching.
continue on DevOps Wahala. So just
Okay. Whatever platform you're watching or listening to, make sure you like, subscribe, and also drop a comment whether you'll be deploying on Fridays or not, or why you are currently not deploying on Friday, or why you are currently deploying on Fridays or any hour of the day. All right. See you in the next episode.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.